Hello, potential peace architects. This is Lompi John, and today I'm going to share with you some thoughts about a course or a lessons called Meditation 101. Meditation 101 is just an internal term that represents a way to explain people why they should meditate, what is meditation, and how to do the Dhammakaya meditation. We normally do not use this term in our public sessions. So normally you're not going to see me in a sessions called Meditation 101 in different places that I visit in different countries. But we use this term internally to represent a content that you need to deliver in your sessions. If you fail to present Meditation 101 during your test, you may fail the test. So make sure that you understand what Meditation 101 really is, and make sure that you do not miss an important point or some important points in the content. I'm going to show you the standard version of Meditation 101, and I'm going to give a very short versions as well. For example, if you have only 5 minutes or 10 minutes to present the whole thing, what information are really crucial and what can be omitted from the content. And eventually I will explain why I mention or the purposes of talking about some points at the end. Okay, so let's begin with the first part, the standard Meditation 101. Hello, how are you doing? I hope everyone is doing fine. Thank you for attending our session. I know that you are here because you want to learn how to control your mind, because these days as we face so many problems in our life, maybe because we have so many responsibilities because of our health, our relationship, our work, and eventually we have to take care of our own mind. This makes the mind think a lot, right? It's normal that our mind will think because our mind has a duty to think about different things. But the problem is when you think about one thing, before your mind has a conclusion, sometimes it moves to the next thought. And before you can have a conclusion to the second thought, it moves to the third one, to the fourth one, to the fifth one, coming back to the first one again. Is it happening sometimes or all the time? If it is happening very often, you have to do something with your own mind. So what exactly is the mind? As a human being, if we separate a human being into two components, we can have first the body and second the mind. The reasons that we separate them into this component and not something more complicated like soul or spirit, because they are not necessary for our meditation practice. Okay, we want to make things as simple as possible. If you compare this with a computer has two things, hardware and software, right? Software controls the hardware, and at the same time, the mind controls the body. Think about yourself. When you wake up in the morning, your mind is so clear, your mind is so peaceful. Everything you think about, you're going to be enjoying your day. You're going to enjoy everything in your life during the day. The food that you eat is going to taste very good. The song that you listen to is going to sound very nice. But the mind that thinks a lot. And when we leave our house, we have to face with all responsibilities, all the problems. Eventually, we can't get those problems out of the mind, and the mind keeps thinking in a loop. Thinks about one problem, and before it has a conclusion, it moves to the second problem, to the third problem, to the fourth problem, coming back to the first problem again. So sometimes in 1 hour, you can have 1 different thoughts without any conclusion. That's a problem. Why? Because eventually the mind will be full of thoughts. And if you compare that with a computer, it is like a computer with the memory full or the hard disk full. You can't do anything anymore with such state of the computer will not be able to operate as it should be. The solution to this is very simple. We just have to clear everything from the mind, or if you make it very simple, we just have to learn to stop thinking. It's like we press a reset button and the computer has been reinstalled with the factory setting once again. Not very easy, I know, because stopping the mind from thinking, we have never done that before. So we are going to make it simpler. We are going to think. We're going to think about one thing at a time, okay? And the way we think about this one thing at a time, we are not going to do it in a very stressful way. So you're not going to think about something like this. Okay, I have to think about my breathing. I have to think about my breathing. I have to breathe in. This is not going to work because normally we feel stressed already about so many different things. So why are you going to add some stress into the meditation practice as well? We're not going to do that. We're going to think about that thing. Or maybe if I use the word to feel, that would be more accurate. We're going to feel the breath going in and out in a very relaxing way. Right, this is what you're going to do in meditation. You're going to focus your mind on one thought, but in a very relaxing way, because meditation is about balance. Even though you need to focus your mind on one thing, okay, but relaxingly. So 50% concentration, 50% relaxation. It is about the balance. You're not going to think about anything randomly. Think about anything except from my list, okay? Don't choose anything randomly, just choose from my list. And the first thing that you focus your mind is your breathing, okay? So let's try to breathe in deeply, softly, and slowly. Okay, let's do it together, all right? Breathe in deeply, again, deeply, softly, and slowly. Let's do that. Breathe in deeply, softly, and slowly. If you breathe soft enough, you don't hear any sound from your nose. And if you breathe deep enough, the airflow is going to go all the way down to the middle of your stomach, okay? Because when you breathe in, your stomach is inflated a little bit. And that's this little evidence that the air is moving all the way down to the middle of your stomach. All right, let's do it together once again. Breathe in deeply, softly, and slowly. Feel the breath going all the way to the middle of your stomach. And then breathe out. One more time. Breathe in deeply, softly, and slowly. All the way to the middle of your stomach. And then you breathe out. Do you feel when the airflow is going all the way to this area, the center of your stomach, the middle of your stomach? Can you feel that? This is called the center of the body. And this meditation technique, we keep our attention at this special place called the center of the body. Okay? All right, I hope it's not too difficult for you. It's easy, right? In a meditation, sometimes we have distractions, and these distractions may be because of noises from people walking near the room or the cars outside, the sound of the traffic, maybe construction sound. Those kind of distractions, we can minimize impact to a meditation by repeating some words in the mind, okay? So this is called mantra. But the mantra itself doesn't have any magical powers. You're not going to fly just by repeating the mantra. But the magic is, when you focus your mind on one thing, relaxingly, your mind is not going to pay so much attention other things, okay? So if you keep repeating some words in your mind repeatedly and relaxingly, eventually you will forget about external sound. It's like when you read a book and you enjoy reading the content of the book so much, actually you don't pay attention to the sound of the traffic, people talking in the street and the cars, right? Because you enjoy reading the book so much. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to repeat, but not verbally, because we are meditating together with so many people. If everyone repeats the mantra, that is going to be a little distracting, right? Because we are not the best singer in the world. When we repeat the mantra, eventually, I want you to come to the point when you can let go of the mantra itself, and that will be more effective if you don't do it verbally, if you just do it internally. Okay, I let you choose between two mantras. First, clear and bright, clear and bright, clear and bright. You're going to feel as if the mantra is expanding from inside your body, specifically the center of your body. Clear and bright, clear and bright, clear and bright. You can also translate this into your own languages as well. It could be claro y brillante, claro y brillante, claro y brillante in Spanish, or in Portuguese that would be claro y brillante, right? Or Russian would be чистый ясный or something like that. Or in Africa, why not? In Swahili, hakuna matata, hakuna matata, hakuna matata. Something that it has positive meaning and you can repeat again and again. It shouldn't be like a whole song, something repeatedly. Or the second choice that I present is the mantra that I bring as souvenir from Thailand to all of you. This is the mantra from Thailand. And it sounds Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, like that. Samma, S-A-M-M-A, it means the right way. And Arahang, A-R-A-H-A-N-G, it means the purest state of the mind. There is one more method that I would like you to try because our mind wanders in two forms. First, sound, and second, images. Sometimes there might be distracting images appearing in our mind. In order to prevent the mind to be distracted by those images, we are going to keep our mind with one single image. Relaxingly, again, one simple image, relaxingly. But we're not going to choose randomly any images that is easy for the mind to visualize. We are going to choose that image. So you have the choice, either the sun, the moon, a star, a water drop, a crystal ball, okay, a crystal ball. Something that is round, something that is easy to visualize and remember. We're going to choose that image. But let's make it today, the sun, okay? Because I think you saw the sun today already. And if you can imagine the sun, meditation, we need two things, feeling and second, position of the feeling. So you're going to need to feel something somewhere. I would like you to imagine the sun at the center of your body. Can you do that? Because this is the point of focus, right? We're going to focus our mind at the center of the body, as I mentioned before. I know it sounds weird. How could we imagine the sun at the center of the body? It doesn't sound very logical. This is the world of imagination. You can do everything with your mind. For example, if I ask you, can you imagine there is a person sitting behind you? Can you do that? Yes, you can, right? Even though you don't need to ask me, is that a boy or a girl? You can still imagine a person behind you. Even that person moves away or there is no one sitting behind you, you can imagine that because it's your mind. So can you imagine the sun behind you? Can you imagine the sun on top of your head? You can, right? Because this is your mind. Can you imagine the sun at the center of your body? I think some of you can at the moment, but some of you still have some doubts in the mind. This is something that you've never done before, so don't worry. Let me make it simple. Can you imagine an elephant? Can you imagine a refrigerator? I want you to put the elephant into the refrigerator the simplest way possible. What do? Okay, this is what I found from the internet. First, you open the door. And second, you put the elephant inside. And third, close the door. Very simple, right? If you were wondering, what about my vegetable? What about my milk? And where's all the eggs? Your mind is a little bit too complicated for this, okay? So we're going to make it the simplest way possible. And we're going to do the same way. Step number 1, open your mouth. Step number 2, you put the sun inside. And step number 3, you close your mouth, right? And now the sun stays at the center of your body already. And this is what we're going to do. Don't pay attention too much on how clear the picture is. Just feel as if there's something round, something warm, something floating in the middle of your stomach. And this will do. All right, we are pretty much ready for a meditation. Let me mention about your posture, all right? Because this is about balance. If you keep your back upright and you sit comfortably, then you can maintain 2 things, relaxation and concentration. So if you sit on the chair, don't lean too much on the backrest or don't lean towards the wall. Otherwise, you are leaning towards the relaxation side or you may fall asleep. Do not lie down on the floor, because if you lie down on the floor, you will sleep within few minutes, okay? So try to keep your back upright and don't pay attention too much on how you sit, because this is normally the posture is not very much required for beginners. So you can sit in the way that you feel the most comfortable. Of course, if you sit for longer time, like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, you're an experienced meditator, then you can come back to the posture later on, okay? So today, I would like you to sit in the most relaxing way possible. You can sit on the chair so that you don't have to worry about how your legs feel the pain. And you can put your hands together on your lap. You can also do this hand posture on your Facebook later on. So the right index finger softly touching your left thumb, and then you place the right hand over the left hand and you place them on your lap comfortably. And if you pull them towards yourself, your back is naturally straight. Meditation is both art and science. So everything that we do from this point onward, we're going to do them elegantly. Because if I were to give you one object, and if I give you this way or this way, if I throw something at you, you receive the object, but not in the same way. So in meditation, it's the same. If you breathe in like this is not relaxing. It's not going to help your mind to find peace, right? So you're going to breathe very softly, very gently. This as well, the way we close our eyes. We're going to close our eyelids very softly and gently. Do not worry if you don't remember anything that I've been sharing with you until now, because I am going to guide you the meditation. Just listen to my voice and everything will go with the flow. Well, that is the long version or the standard version of Meditation 101. Okay, I know that it sounds a little bit too long because it was about 20 minutes. But if you want to explain something that people understand and they can get everything correctly, then we might have to give so many details. But in reality, when you have less than 20 minutes, for example, if you need to guide meditation for only 1 hour session, then you don't have 20 minutes for Meditation 101. If you need, sometimes I needed to explain everything in only 5 minutes, then what do? We need to make sure that first, you still explain why we need to meditate. And second, you need to explain what meditation is. And third, you need the shortest version of how to meditate, okay? The details you can mention sometimes in your meditation guide. If you can do it in a very peaceful way, not like disturbing. For example, imagine like in a room where there's a baby sleeping. When the baby is sleeping, of course, you can do everything in the room, but in the way that you don't disturb the baby. You don't actually wake him or her up, right? You can clean the room, you can organize your room, you can work in the room as long as you don't disturb the baby. We're going to do the same thing with our meditation guide. Sometimes you can explain, okay, this is the nature of the mind wanders, the mind's like monkey. You can say that as long as it doesn't make meditators imagine too much or use the mind or the thoughts or have a lot of questions from what you say. What about the shortest version of Meditation 101? Let me demonstrate that for you. Hello, welcome to a meditation. I know that today you are looking forward to a very peaceful meditation, but let me share with you, meditation is just a way to keep our mind with one thought, because our mind has one nature. It wanders too much and sometimes keep making a loop. When you think about one thing, before it has a conclusion, it moves to the next thought. And before it has conclusion to the second thought, it moves to the third one, to the fourth one, to the fifth one, coming back to the first one again. In order to solve this problem, you're just going to imagine one thing in a very relaxing way, one thought at a time. But you're not going to choose the thought randomly. Actually, I would like to use the word to feel, okay? So first, we're going to feel the breathing. So let's breathe in deeply, softly, and slowly. Again, deeply, softly, and slowly. You can feel the breath going all the way to the middle of your stomach. Can you feel that? Let's do it one more time. Breathe in deeply, softly, slowly, and feel the breath going all the way to the middle of your stomach. This is the point of concentration. This is called the center of your body. Okay? I would like you to repeat and observe whenever the breath is arriving the center of the body, again and again and again. And we're going to repeat some words in the mind as well. We call this word mantra. You have two choices, either clear and bright, clear and bright, clear and bright. But you're not going to repeat it verbally. You're just going to feel that the mantra is expanding from inside your body. Clear and bright, clear and bright, clear and bright. There is one mantra that you may try as well today. It's a mantra that I bring as souvenir from Thailand. It's called Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang. Samma, S-A-M-M-A, means the right way. And Arahang, A-R-A-H-A-N-G, it means the purest state of the mind. Okay? And maybe we will try one more method as well. We're going to imagine an image. Let's imagine an image of the sun. Okay? Just draw a sun in your mind. Can you do that? You're going to imagine as if you swallow the sun through your mouth and feel the sun going down to the middle of your stomach. Can you do that? Well, I know it sounds a little bit weird, but you can do that, because if I ask you, can you imagine someone behind you? You can, right? You don't even have to ask me if that is a boy or a girl. So, can you imagine the sun behind you? You can, right? Can you imagine the sun in your stomach? You can, okay? Don't worry so much about the picture of the sun. Just make it as if there's something round, something warm, something bright in your stomach. And we are ready for our meditation. Let's adjust our sitting posture. You sit on the chair in a very relaxing way and put your hands together on your lap. The way you close your eyes, you're going to do it in an elegant way, because in meditation, it's about balance. 50% relaxation, 50% concentration. We're going to make sure that everything that we do from now on, we're going to do it relaxingly. We are ready for a meditation. Don't worry, because I'm going to guide you with the meditation. I have presented already two versions. The standard version is about 20 minutes. The shorter version, about 10 minutes of Meditation 101. Actually, the shorter version can even become shorter. We can omit some point. For example, if you have only 20 minutes or less, let's say that you can guide meditation for only 15 minutes, then you don't need to explain about visualization technique, because that takes some time, and usually we need about 15 minutes for the mind of people to be refined enough to present the visualization during the meditation guide. Of course, we can do that a little bit earlier. But if you ask people to visualize something and you give them only 2 or 3 minutes to visualize, that wouldn't give desirable result or the result that we expect. Okay, I'm going to explain about why I chose to talk about some points and the points that are very important and you can't miss, especially in your tests. If you are having a test and you are missing those points, then you might fail the test. All right, so first thing first, meditation 101, we need to explain why we need to meditate. You can begin with your personal story. You can begin with any interesting stories. You can begin with the topic itself. And as I mentioned earlier, that we do not use meditation 101 as the topic. So usually the topic will be how to become happier in life with the practice of meditation, or how to discover your inner peace, or creativity with meditation, or how meditation boosts creativity, or meditation for better life balance, for example. So those are the topics. And if you connect a topic, for example, I'm going to explain and connect with creativity. Do you want to be more creative? You know what blocks you from being creative is the mind that keeps repeating the thoughts, because we are used to thinking, speaking, or doing in our life, and this is called habits. The way we think keeps repeating and we can't change the way. And this actually blocks the mind from being more creative, because creativity means that something new is created, something new, something useful, right? If our mind is full of thoughts, if our mind is not very clear, how could you actually see new ideas? Your mind needs more space for new ideas to emerge. Your mind needs an ability to let the old ideas go from the mind. And this is possible through the practice of meditation. Meditation is an art of focusing the mind on one thought at a time, but in a very relaxing way. So this is about balance between 50% relaxation, 50% concentration. When your mind can concentrate relaxingly on one thing, it's not going to be distracted easily on something else. And eventually, if we keep repeating the meditation for a while, we will be able to leave all other thoughts behind, and we can reclaim the space in the mind. And our mind, when it has more space, it has enough space for better idea, for new idea to emerge. See, this is how I connect creativity with the need for meditation. Why we need to meditate? If we want to be more creative, we need to reset the mind so that the mind is ready for positivity, the mind has clarity, the mind has more space. And you can do this with different topics. For example, stress management. You can do this with topic of life balance. You can do this with all the topics. That's the first thing. Why we need to meditate? Because sometimes you will be in a situation where people really want to learn meditation. But the other time, maybe you ended up in a room where a bunch of students were forced to come to attend your sessions. And they don't care what you're talking about unless you can capture their attention. Of course, you can begin with some video, something that will actually gain their attention so that they are convinced that they need to meditate with you. And second, you need to explain what meditation really is. The definition of meditation, I usually begin with the definition of the body and the mind, because I want to actually make people understand that this is just the feeling. Because usually people thought that the mind equals the brain. And if you ask them, can you bring your mind to the center of your stomach? They get confused, because how can you actually take your brain and put it in your stomach? That is not possible, right? So I usually give the definition of body and mind. And because I don't want them to get confused, when we talk about the word mind, is that the soul, is that spirit, or is it something higher? So you just make it clear that you don't talk about those things. And human, you separate into two components, the part that you can touch and the part that you cannot. Because if you do not give this clear definition on this part, then people will start asking you, what about the spirit? What about the soul? This part is not necessary, and we can omit that completely in our definition. Okay, so you just give them the definitions of body and mind, and that the mind controls the body. And once we have given this definition, we can give the nature of the mind. This is not necessary very much, or you can briefly just tell people that the mind has one nature. It thinks a lot. This is what people understand. But if you point out this part is very effective. If you point out this part, that when you think about one thing, before the mind has a conclusion, it moves to the next thought. And before the mind has a conclusion to the second thought, it moves to the third one, to the fourth one, to the fifth one, coming back to the first one again. This is going to help people understand that they need to meditate, because this is like a common problem that everyone faces. The common problem that we want to get rid of worries from the mind. We don't actually want the mind to repeat thoughts about problems again and again and again. And if you can give this definition, you can point out that this nature of the mind makes the whole memory full. The mind is full of thoughts. And when the mind is full of thoughts, you don't have space to feel peace and happiness. And if you come to this point, you can give the definition of meditation. Meditation is an art of keeping the mind on one single thought or one single feeling. You can also explain, I usually have one video called the awareness test that help people to understand when they focus the mind on one thing, they are not going to be distracted easily by other thoughts. If they can focus the mind with attention, with relaxation on just one thing, okay, the mind pay less attention or no attention to other thoughts. If you don't have the video, or you cannot play the video at the moment, you can also share with people the moment when they will enjoy reading a book in a space like in on the street, or maybe in train station, in an airplane. And if you can enjoy reading the book and your attention stays with the book the whole time, you don't even hear sound from outside. And that's the power of balance, the power of both concentration and relaxation. Relaxation, this part also requires passions, requires attention, and also like you enjoy doing it. The definition of meditation, that it is the art of keeping the mind on one thought. Help people to understand what they're going to do. Sometimes people ask you, are we going to empty our thoughts at all? You can say that that's the goal of meditation. And you can say that the goal of meditation is the mind stands still, peaceful and focused. That's the goal that we want to achieve. But today, if they manage to have or to reach that goal only for 1 second, that's big achievement already. This is to lower people's expectation, because some of them thought that they would be able to have the mind stand still, peaceful and focused the whole time, okay? And that's not possible. Maybe if they can come to that point, only few seconds, only few minutes, that's the best for them already today. So we are not going to mention this very much about the goal, but we can mention briefly, but not to make people understand or like feel that they need to be in the goal the whole time, okay? So if you mention the goal, I think you can say one more sentence, that if you can manage to stay in the goal, if you can remain in the goal, the mind stands still, peaceful and focused only for a few seconds, only for some minutes, then that's the best already, because you don't actually want to be enlightened today, right? And once we explained about the definition of meditation, then how do we meditate? At this point, if you have 20 minutes to explain everything, then you can explain 3 methods. You can explain the breathing, you can explain the mantra, you can explain visualization. Breathing is the easiest one to explain, because this is how people can try together with you. But when you ask them to do the breathing observation, these are some points that you cannot miss. The first is deeply, slowly and softly. Again, deeply, softly and slowly. Of course, you can change the order, no problem. Just ask them, okay, now let's breathe. Some of them are going to breathe like this, and this is not going to help them feel the center of the body. Okay, so you have to ask them to repeat and practice with you. There's some point that you can say. If you breathe soft enough, you don't hear any sound from your nose. So they're not going to breathe like this. And if they breathe deep enough, the stomach expands like a balloon. And that is how they can begin to observe the center of the body. At this point, you can ask them a question. Can you feel when the breath is going down to the middle of your stomach? Can you feel that? And if they can feel that, if majority can feel that, you can mention the definition of the center of the body. This is where we are going to keep our attention. This is where we are going to focus in a very relaxing way. The center of the body is the point that if you fail to explain, you fail the test. Okay, so don't forget this part, because this is the core essence of Dhammakaya meditation, the center of the body. You can omit some other points, you can forget about the goal meditation, but don't forget about the center of the body. My ears are waiting for that. If I didn't hear the center of the body, you failed the test. All right? You don't need to necessarily explain where it is. You can say that it's somewhere in your stomach. But if people ask the specific point, of course you can say it's about 2 finger width above the belly button. But if you mention that part, you have to also say to people that don't expect to find the perfect center, because we can't see that. So if you manage to just feel it somewhere in your stomach, then that's the best already, at least for today, at least for these sessions. The breathing observation helps people to feel the center. It's the easiest way to explain. If you have only 5 minutes for the meditation itself, then you can only mention the breathing observation, because you don't actually have enough time for the mantra. People's mind, sometimes they're not ready even for the mantra. If they have very agitated mind, or they come from intense work, then we just use the breathing to help people to relax and also to feel the center. Sometimes I was in a situation when I didn't have even 5 minutes to guide meditation. Maybe I just have only 3 minutes. And people, okay, now you guide meditation for 3 minutes. That could be in a radio show, in television programs, or in any kind of interview that you have only 3 minutes to guide meditation, and manage to bring people's attention through the breath to the center of the body, then that's already a full point. Okay. The second method is the mantra. The mantra will be very helpful, especially if you have more than 5 minutes. So I would say about 5 to 15 minutes if you have that amount of time. And if you repeat the mantra for them, they're going to feel very, very relaxed. The breathing observation usually is very relaxing for the body, but the mantra is very relaxing for the mind. Because when the mind repeats the mantra, some other thoughts cannot coexist. When the body feels relaxed through the breathing observation, sometimes you still have thoughts in the mind. But whenever you can actually repeat the mantra and your mind stays only with the mantra, then the mind is fully relaxed. So we're going to explain that first. Do it internally, not verbally. Because I was in situations many times when people did not understand. They start repeating the mantras out loud in the class, and suddenly the whole class becomes a singing class. And we don't want that to happen. So you have to emphasize that. Do it internally. Of course, you can only choose the first mantra, clear and bright, or you can translate into your own languages. But during the test, I would like to hear you sing Samma Arahang as well. Okay, so make sure that you practice chanting Samma Arahang. I'm going to chant for you. Okay, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma arahang. And if you listen to the rhythm, it's not proportionally. So it's not like Samma arahang. This is equally order the tones. We want to have the word sam a little bit shorter. Samma arahang, and the word hang is a little bit longer. Samma arahang. If you can look at my hand, Samma arahang, Samma arahang, Samma arahang. And this is the right speed. Of course, it could be slower, but sometimes when it is too slow, people's minds is still too busy for that. So the right speed should be Samma arahang, Samma arahang, Samma arahang, Samma arahang, like that. Okay, you can also use your hands to illustrate how the mantra are expanding from the center of your body. Samma arahang, Samma arahang, Samma arahang. But if you use your hands, make sure that you tell people, don't do this in the meditation, because you want their hands to just completely on the left, okay? Otherwise, they will do everything because they do not know what is the right thing to do. So use the hand just to show that the mantra can be expanding from the center of the body if needed, okay? Not necessary on that part. Usually you can just introduce the mantra and the rest you can mention in the meditations, like feel as if the voice is coming from the center of your body. Feel as if there are waves of positive energy expanding from the center, or feel as if you have a small speaker playing the mantra from the center of your body. Okay, the rest you can also give or explain during the meditation guide. And then we come to the visualization part. I would say that if you have more than 20 minutes or at least 15 minutes, I would say 20 for the meditation guide, and you explain the visualization, this is going to help people to have two things at the same time. They can visualize and they can repeat the mantra at the same time. And if you can make this happen, the mind of the people can be refined, can develop the best concentration. So two things at the same time, visualization and the mantra all together is the quickest way and the shortest way to the center. All right, but if you have less than 50 minutes, that is probably not enough for the mind of people to develop such concentration. So the breathing and the mantras is fine, but during the test, I would like you to do all the techniques, even though you don't have enough time, I understand. So maybe you just introduce the mantra, maybe you introduce the visualization and the mantra together, and then you guide for a few minutes and that finish. That's fine, because we want to listen to how you do it, okay? The visualization part is very delicate, and you have to do it properly. Otherwise, people are going to visualize like this, and they are not going to have very good meditation. So you need to make sure that they understand that they are not going to pay too much attention on the picture, but only the feeling. You can see that I also give choices sometimes that they can imagine the sun, the moon, a star. But if you do not have so much time, just ask people to imagine one thing, the sun, maybe, for example. Or if you do it in the night, maybe the moon. Or if you use the moon, just use the word full moon, okay? Because if you give choices, that's the amount of time you need to explain. But if you just give them one choice, and that works in many situations, of course, maybe some people don't like the sun and maybe they don't do it properly. But we aim for majority of people, okay? If at least or I would say that about 80% of people in the room can follow you, they understand perfectly what you talk about, and they can practice. That's the best. I would say that if you have 100%, that's sometimes even too good to be true, because we would aim for majority. But if the room is like 20 people and only one person can follow you, then something is wrong, okay? All right, the visualization part, you just ask them to imagine. But if you have time and if you ask them to play around with it, they understand better. For example, you ask them, can you imagine the sun on top of your head? Can you imagine maybe on your right shoulder, on your left shoulder, okay, and your right shoulder, behind your back, under your seat? You understand? Okay. And if they still don't understand, just give an example. Can you imagine that there is someone behind you? Most people can imagine there's someone behind them. Okay, I would say that I never actually experienced anyone around the world, anyone in the world say that I cannot imagine someone behind me. Can you imagine someone behind you? And then you ask another questions. You don't even have to care whether he is a boy or a girl, right? Because yeah, just someone behind you. This is your mind. You can do everything with it. Even that person walks away, you can still do it, right? So it doesn't mean that imagining the person behind you requires a real person to be behind you. But it means that you can imagine anything with your mind. So can you imagine the sun behind you? Yes, you can. Can you imagine that the sun is in your stomach? This point still makes people curious. How is it possible to have the sun in my stomach? And usually sometimes say to people, of course, I'm not going to use any trick, I'm not going to use any supernatural power, I don't have any supernatural power, so don't worry. But this is just to keep the attention at the focal point, so we imagine the sun in the stomach. We don't pay attention too much on how it looks. If you can imagine as if something warm, something soft, something bright in the stomach, that's the best already. If sometimes there's a pregnant lady in the room, you can just ask the pregnant lady, you don't see your baby, but you can feel that the baby is in your stomach, right? Or the mothers, if there are a lot of mothers in the room and she was pregnant before, she could imagine for sure. They could imagine for sure. There is one more example that I usually use in all the sessions just to make sure that people do not complicate things. The example of putting elephant into the fridge. Okay, you have an elephant, you have the fridge, and you put the elephant in the fridge. Usually people started to, okay, maybe I have to shrink the elephant, maybe I have to make the fridge bigger, and I have some of them even curious, cut the elephant into pieces. But you can mention that there is a solution that you found on internet, that you just open the door, you just put the elephant inside, and then you close the door, and that's it. This is how you put the elephant in the fridge. And then you ask people to do the same thing. Can you open your mouth? Can you put the sun inside and swallow it? And can you close your mouth? But if you do this full example, you require at least 20 minutes. And if you remember when I did the Meditation 101, the standard version, I used 20 minutes and explained everything. I also spoke quite quickly as well. So it means that if you speak slowly, depending on your pace, that could go from 25 to 30 minutes or even longer. Then you have to understand that Meditation 101 should not be more than 30 minutes. You should not spend 1 hour on Meditation 101 because people are going to, okay, are we going to meditate? And the mind is going to be too busy for the meditation. Make sure that Meditation 101 is first not too heavy. You don't actually want to begin any discussions. You don't want to raise too many questions. You just want people to understand and to meditate with you with least amount of explanation, as little as possible. So don't give everything that you know until now. Don't say anything that is not necessary just for people to meditate. Okay, depends on your time, depends on the group of people, depends on the topic that you begin with. Then you can explain the meditation. The meditation part, that is connected with Meditation 101 at the end is about the body preparation. I usually mention to people that don't lie down, because if you sometimes forget to do that and this is a yoga studio, there's no chair, someone will lie down, okay? But, well, that's not going to be a big problem. Of course, first, if you want to take photos, you don't have good photos when someone lie down. But if they start making noises, they start snoring, that's another thing, right? So it is the most effective just to help people to feel their balance. The balance between relaxation and concentration. And that's not possible if they lie down completely, because they're going to feel 100% relaxed, but 0% concentration. So mention that part. You can mention that they can sit comfortably and they can adjust. You don't actually have to put too much details on how the hands are placed, or it has to be in the perfect posture. You can mention that, but don't actually make people worry too much, or don't give too much information to people. I usually suggest that beginners, especially if they never done yoga before, they are not used to meditating on the floor, then they do it on a chair. People that mention to you, oh, I'm fine with meditating on the floor, they don't know that you are going to do it for half an hour or 40 minutes. Most of the time, people do not understand that meditating half an hour or 40 minutes and they've never done it before is going to give them a lot of pain. Okay, so just keep them on a chair. That will be the easiest thing, so you don't actually have to worry too much about the pain, and then you have to deal with the sleepy mind instead. Okay, so this is the essence of Meditation 101. Remember that you need to mention the center of the body, because that's also the most important thing about Dhammakaya meditation. If you fail to mention the center of the body, then you fail the test. Sorry for that. And the method of meditation, you need to explain people how to do it. I found that in many tests, people explain to me, the potential architects from their previous training, they explain everything nicely. Okay, we need to meditate, we need to keep our mind with one thought, let's meditate. And then everyone close their eyes, and there's no explanation of how to do it. If you do not give any explanation about the method on the third part, how to meditate, you also fail the test. Okay, even though you explain very well the first two parts, why we need to meditate, what is meditation, and then you jump to the meditation right away, you fail the test. So explain properly about how to do it. And the three parts, you need to mention all of them. Okay, why we need to meditate. This is going to be additional points, and it's going to maybe give you the full points, especially if you can make it interesting, can connect with very unique stories. If you can entertain me, then you get special point, especially on the first part. Second part is just very simple. It's just mention what meditation is. This is about to keep your mind with one thought in a very relaxing way. It's about balance. 50% relaxation, 50% concentration. And it's just that. And the third part is how to meditate. Again, if you do not mention at all, how do we begin meditation, you fail the test. But this part, when you do it, in reality, it depends on the time that you have for the sessions. If you have only 5 minutes or less, only the breathing. If you have more than 5 minutes, up to 15, breathing and mantra. And then if you have like more than 15 minutes, like 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, please also explain about visualization. The mantra will stay with you for a while, but if your mind do not have anything to attach, it will start wandering a lot, and then you're going to have a lot of distractions. Okay, so make sure that you have 3 points. Why do we need to meditate? What is meditation? and how do we meditate, okay? And entertain me, and maybe you can come up with your personal story, some very nice anecdote that is going to be very nice and good practice for your own personal sessions. I don't expect everyone to copy me 100%, so make sure that you can also improvise and provide something that is unique to you as well. So please do practice, because eventually, for me, I've been doing this for I think more than 1,000 times. So I can repeat everything just by pressing a button. But for you, if you don't practice, you're going to think, and that is going to interrupt the flow. Okay, so I hope when we meet during the training, you are ready. You have been practicing for more than 10 times. I'm going to also explain about meditation obstacles. There are 4 main meditation obstacles. First, the pain. Second, wandering mind. Third, sleepy mind. And fourth, tension. So these are main 4 meditation obstacles for beginners. And no matter what meditation methods they use, they're going to face mainly these 4 problems. First, the pain. When people have the pain, you can just mention to them, they need to consider 2 things, pain and peace. If they have some pain, but the amount of peace is more than enough that they can ignore the pain, then keep continuing their meditation, okay? Then actually have to interrupt if the amount of peace that they have is enormous and the pain is so little. But of course, if the amount of pain is increasing, and that is almost equivalent to the amount of peace already, at this point, just reset, just restart, or adjust the sitting posture. Maybe they can move their body, they don't actually have to torture themselves and pay too much attention on how they sit. Okay, just change how the legs are placed, and everything will reduce the amount of pain. It's very easy to explain how to deal with the pain. Of course, in reality, that requires more like stretching or maybe yoga practice, so that you really minimize the amount of pain when you meditate, especially on the floor. So for many sessions, we usually arrange the chairs so that we don't actually have to deal, and people, when they have to deal with their pain, they forget about everything else. They forget about the center, they forget about visualization, they forget about the mantra. They just concentrate on the pain. And second, wandering thoughts. Wandering thoughts are not bad, and this is something that you can share with people. Maybe you don't actually have to share during Meditation 101, or you can mention briefly during Meditation 101 that your mind is going to wander for sure. It's like crying baby. But when the baby starts crying, you don't actually want to hit the baby and say, hey, stop crying, will you? Because the baby is going to cry even more. And you're going to do the same thing with your mind. You're not going to feel frustrated, you're not going to cry, you're not going to shout, you're not going to feel super annoyed because your mind is disrupted. But you have to understand that this is the nature of the mind. And every time your mind wanders, you come back to the meditation method, either the breathing, the mantra, or visualization. This can be also sometimes linked to a concept of monkey mind, because our mind is like monkey. We want the mind to be still, it moves away. We want the mind to think about one thing, it thinks about 100 different things. So you just have to understand and observe that thoughts may be coming to you. It is like someone trying to open the front door of your house, and the door is locked. But if you open the door and check out the person can enter your house. But if you pay no attention, that person may have to ring the bell many times. Eventually, you don't respond. The person will have to leave. So pay no attention to the wandering thoughts and pay attention mainly to the meditation method. Eventually, your mind will come back to you. But if the wandering thoughts are enormous, it's disturbing. And again, the amount of peace is less than the amount of thoughts. That is when you have to reset by opening your eyes. Sometimes you can compare with two kinds of monkey. Little monkey, very cute, and a big gorilla. If you have big gorilla in front of you, you feel extremely uncomfortable, like something that you didn't like or something that disturbs your peace very much, and every time you look at it, it brings you some fear, then you can open your eyes. Okay? And if you open your eyes, thoughts will disappear. Then the third one is sleepy mind. Well, it depends on when you got the meditations. Especially in the afternoon, people have more sleepy mind than other sessions. So sleepy mind is very normal. You can explain that eventually you want the mind to come to the balance. But when the mind, you try to actually relax. But because you are used to doing relaxation and concentration at different times, when you relax, you relax. When you concentrate, but you never learn to do it at the same time. So when the mind comes to the balance, it doesn't stay and it goes too much below to the relaxation zone that makes you fall asleep. And at some point you are aware again, oh, I'm sleeping. So you add concentration. When the concentration is too much and you forget to relax, that is when you have tension. So sleepy mind and tension, they are on the other side. And this can be minimized with more practice, because the aim is not to force the mind to stay at the balance or the middle way. But first, you need to bring it to the balance, or the 50% relaxation and the 50% concentration. This middle way as often as you can. So it maybe went too much below, then you bring it back to the center. When it is too much to the other side, you bring it back to the center. So if you can stay at the middle way as often, it's not about how long, but it's about how often, okay? If you can stay at the middle way often, it's not about how long, but how often you can come back. Eventually, you will learn to stay at the balance, and the gap becomes narrower, and it stays completely at the balance. So this is how we deal with 4 meditation obstacles. And you're going to see and to have these questions a lot during all the sessions that you guide.